Well, you know me, folks, and yes, I am home now. I've been home for a couple of hours. But when this happens, I got to talk about it. And it seems basically that every AI service that you subscribe to, every subscription service, every once in a while is starting to up their game. I mean, we know Kling, they want to basically remain on top by basically going with the 2.1 master, 2.1 non-master, you name it, to kind of give you what you're asking for. But then there's Hailuo or Hailuo, Hailuo in the version 2, which is pretty decent, it's pretty good. You actually get close to what you're asking for. Then there's Google with VEO2 and mostly VEO3, whether it's VEO2 quality or fast, because if you go fast, you only have to spend about 10 to 20 credits, depending on if you're using VEO2. I think that's about 10 credits, and VEO3 fast is 20 credits. But if you go quality on both, it's 100 each. But anyway, Google's VEO2 and 3 definitely prove that they have the chops and everything. Pixverse has recently updated themselves at version 5, and it seems like they're trying to really up their game with more, accurate or close to accurate prompts coming to life. But now we can add Luma to that. Because as I've said before long ago, Luma is in that top category of, of the overall AI, subscription sites that not only give you as long as you want through extension, basically continuing your video, but basically they're the kind that will essentially, if you do it right, prompt it right, will give you what you're asking for. Now, in the beginning, everybody was saying they're the ones to go to, but then all of a sudden they kind of dropped off. They tried to come back with RAY3 and RAY2 Flash, the new models. And that was okay, but not quite there yet. And while this was all happening, you had, like I mentioned, Kling, Hailuo, Pixverse, Google's VEO2 and VEO3. You had VIDU, with their 2.0 edition, and such. You had Runaway trying to pick up the slack. You had a lot of, other subscription services for, AI fun, as I look at it, hobby fun, basically picking up the pace, while Luma was still trying to keep pace. In other words, it was still trying to show that it was a leader, that it was one of the AI subscription services that you had to live up to. Well, they finally, I guess, got off the high horse and gave us RAY3, the newest model. But it's two ways. You got RAY3, just RAY3, non-aesthetic and high fidelity, basically high maintenance. And then you got RAY3 reasoning. RAY3 reasoning is actually a little different because what it does is it takes whatever you want created and it makes several different versions of it. It makes a draft version. It makes like a draft version, and then it gives you two different versions of what you're asking for to see what you would like. So essentially you get what you're asking for twice, as well as you get a draft of how it all happened. And they even explain, while they're developing it, what they're doing to make it come to life. What they're analyzing, what they're, focusing on to really bring this prompt, to, what you want it to be. And I have to admit that RAY3 is actually pretty good. Is it perfect? No. But it's actually pretty good, mostly the reasoning portion. It's actually pretty good. Now, I don't know how many credits it will cost. Obviously, it costs about maybe 100 credits, maybe 20, I don't know. But basically, it's pretty, like I said, it's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome to see because it's actually giving me what I'm asking for. It really is. It finally is giving me what I'm asking for. Just like Hailuo version 2 is finally kind of giving me what I'm asking for. Same with Google VEO2 and 3, kind of, with limitations, and I'm sure Luma is the same way. In fact, I can even see it. I can even see it when I choose certain images. But the thing is, what I'm getting out of this is kind of close to what I'm asking for. Probably more so than what Hailuo would. So right now, what it looks like to me is that Luma is trying to climb back up, trying to surpass Google. They're trying to surpass Kling, because those are the other ones. Those are the other ones that allow you to not only have what you're asking for with a limitation here and there, kind of a like, yeah, we'll let it pass, or you got to change the word and we'll let it pass kind of deal. With certain limitations and catches, Luma is basically trying to get back up there and say, hey, you all want to be like me, and I'm going to prove it. I'm going to prove that you've all wanted to be like me, or you all tried to surpass me, with all your upgrades and stuff. Well, guess what? I'm going to prove to you why you all want to be like me by basically upgrading to a point that even you will have to, sit back and study and wonder, okay, how do we do that now? Because that's essentially what they did here. That's essentially what they did. Now, again, is it perfect? No. Obviously, it's not perfect. But for them to go out of the way and do what they did, I think is pretty good. Now, does that put them at the top, overall? It's close. I mean, ranking-wise, again, if you look at those that have the extensions, they allow you to extend and all that for as long as you want, unlimited, no limitations. If you look at it from an extension, transition, frame by frame situation, basically something that has the whole shebang, then yeah, Luma, Google VEO 2 and 3, and Kling are definitely at the top of the list. There's no doubt. They're definitely at the top of the list. But if you're looking at accuracy, then I will say right now, with Luma doing this, and again, I still have to, see more about what it's, I still have to personally see what it's more about. But with Luma, doing this, and from what I've seen so far, I can be honest with you and say, and this is the truth, I can be honest with you and say that Luma, from an accurate standpoint, Luma and Kling, not Kling, but Luma and Halo-U, from an accurate standpoint, is giving you what you want. Google is right behind them, and so is Kling. There's no doubt. They are right behind them. But, right now, with Luma doing what they did and Halo-U doing what they did, or Halo-U doing what they did, they basically, from an accurate standpoint, have taken the top two spots, in my opinion. They have taken the top two spots, no questions asked. And I think what's going to happen now is that Google and Kling and VDU and outlets like them are going to have to pick up the pace now. They're going to have to be like, okay, we're seeing what Halo-U version 2 is doing and how people are now flocking to that. We see what Luma, RAY3, and RAY3 reasoning is doing. They're flocking to that. Basically Google's not going to want to be left out in the cold. They're not. And I think what's going to happen is Google's going to pick up the pace. They are. I mean, as I said before, one of the people I follow and support, Trouble TRO, he uses VEO3 via Flow on Google, and it's actually pretty good. But I'm sure once he's hearing about this with Luma, then he's going to probably try it out himself. He's going to probably be like, I could go back and forth here and see what the better option is. And if there is no, straight up limitations, and there still could be, don't get me wrong, with Luma's new RAY3 and RAY3 reasoning, if there are no real limitations, which there still could be, then I think, honestly, Trouble TRO might go over to Luma more often than with Google to try to get some works out. I mean, he'll probably go back and forth, don't get me wrong. He'll probably go back and forth between, those two and Halo-U to kind of get something close to what he wants. Let's say because, let's say if he wants to, because I'm trying to find the right words to say, guys. I worked today for 4 hours, 45 minutes, yes, but I am still kind of tired. But, but basically he could go back and forth, if you will. He could go back and forth between Google's VEO2, VEO3 and Luma, as well as even touch upon with Halo-U or Halo-U version 2 to kind of mix it together to see what he could get to create, basically a short film, like he did with the 1,000 Faces one. And basically, if he could choose between at least two of them that give him unlimited, extensions, as well as allow him to, go frame by frame, and Halo U lets that happen now too, but there's no extensions yet. And as soon as they get that going, oh yeah, game over. You're looking at the top three right there. VEO 3 and 2 by Google, Luma, and then Halo U. Once Halo U gets that transitions going, or not transition, but the extensions going, once they start doing that and everything, once they go the extension route, it's, pretty much you're looking at the top three right there. But point is, he could be the kind of person that will go back and forth between Google's VEO 3, with Flow, and Luma's RAY3 reasoning, or RAY3, without reasoning, and basically he could choose between those two to create, like I was saying, something to be like a short film, be more accurate to what he was hoping for. But will it happen? We'll have to see. We will have to see. But I think, honestly, this is a good stepping stone for Luma to really, kind of basically try to take back that top spot, when it comes to having the overall package, not just, the accurate, close to accuracy of what people want, via prompt, but, the frame by frame and the extension, to, and basically in a way to, taking that, I'm getting tongue tied here, guys, but basically, to me, this is a great way to take that first big step in reclaiming that top spot when it comes to that. When it comes between them, them and Kling, them and VEO 2 and 3 by Google. This is a nice first step, in my opinion. And like I said, it's definitely putting it and Halo U's version 2 at the top when it comes to accuracy, extensions or not, extending video or not. It's putting it right at the top, with Halo U version 2 when it comes to accuracy, with Google's VEO 3, right on their tail. But overall, Luma's 3 model, the non-reasoning and reasoning, is pretty good. And like I said, with reasoning, it goes into details of what it's doing to give you, what you're asking for as accurately as it can. But I thought I'd just come on here, guys, and talk about it. Thumbs up to Luma for doing it, and hopefully this will get everyone else, in the AI subscription service, on their feet and get them moving to get better and give fans, what they want. But like I said, from a ranking perspective, when it comes to the overall package of, frame by frame, close to accuracy, extending video, Luma and Google's VEO 3 and 2, and Kling, they're right at the top. There's no doubt. But when it comes to accuracy, there's 2 new kings in town now, as of right now, and that's, Halo U version 2 and Luma Ray 3. As of right now, they're taking the top spots, in my opinion, when it comes to accuracy. But, we'll have to see how Google and Kling bounce back to get, in that discussion again, if you will. Because, like I said, VEO 3 and 2 by Google are nipping at the feet of Halo U's version 2 and Luma's Ray 3. But anyway, though, guys, I just wanted to come on here and talk about that. Again, I do apologize if I was all over the place. I am tired. I just, I got home a little while ago. I basically relaxed a little bit, took a hot shower, took a warm shower to kind of, rinse off the grime, the sweat that I had at work, if you will, because they had us doing things a little differently today, and I'll explain that probably later on. But, I did that, and it's kind of relaxed me and all that. So, yeah, and of course I had to walk from my work to the bus stop to, at the Walmart where I used to work to catch the bus. But anyway, again, I just wanted to come on here and talk about this. And again, thumbs up to Luma for doing what they're doing. And until next time, guys, do me a solid favor. Like the video, ring the bell for notifications, subscribe to the channel, share the video. Also, click on the links in the description to find my content elsewhere outside of YouTube, as well as click on the first link to go to my new 4th Wall store. I only got 1 item up there right now, guys, but I think you'll like it. And also click on the last link to go to my original Teespring store for merchandise you can't get anywhere else. But guys, let me know what your thoughts are on Luma's Ray 3 update, if you will. Have you been using it? Have you tried it out? And Trouble TRO, if you're listening, I would highly recommend you check it out yourself as well. And until then, I am out.